thing. Um, I hear a ruckus in the garage, and I hear it, and I'm thinking to myself, either a deer or something's done got stuck in the garage, or one of those Bigfoots have killed a deer and took off through the garage. I go out there to look, and all I smell is candy. I smell this really strong candy smell, and then I let the dogs out, and they're sniffing everywhere, and they smell it too, but we can't figure out what it is. So when I got the dogs back in, I traced it to the woods. When I got to the woods, I heard something down there moaning. And all I could think of, they've killed a deer and it's laying down there, dying. And that was the initial thought. But then something came to me while I was sitting in the living room and said, no, a baby's being born down there. And then you go back out there later on that night, and I take a picture of them down there that night, and I captured the mom laying on another mom and the dad holding the baby up. So the baby being born in those woods on Christmas Eve is pretty amazing, And a few days later, I actually captured audio of the baby, and it was freezing cold outside, and they let me hear that baby, and I actually put that video on YouTube. It is amazing.
Oh wow! What does a Bigfoot baby sound like?
It was almost like like this, like meh, meh. It almost like it's like a baby, but kind of like I don't know how you describe it, but when it's 1 o'clock in the morning and there's nothing out there because it's cold, and you hear it coming from that one spot, and it's the baby because it couldn't be nothing else. There's nothing else out there at that time of night most of the time, and I couldn't, the coyotes wouldn't come into my yard. They stayed further back, so I knew it wasn't the coyotes. So it had to be, and in fact, I knew it was the baby because it wasn't long after that they come and told me what the name of the baby was, and the baby's going to have a pretty good name. It was Nafiti, and that was the name of the little baby. And I tried my best to get names out of every one of them. I got the name of a female, was named Bontessa. But the big one, anytime I could try to get a name out of the big one, he would always just say, call him Bigfoot. He don't want to, I never could get no name out of him. So I just started giving them nicknames, but I mean, I'm out there one night, I'm walking out there one night, and I hear a plain as day, Wayne, and it come out of the woods, and you don't know what that made me feel like, because they never said my name out loud anytime. But to finally hear them say it was like, they must trust me now. And it's kind of weird because I can, after everything I went through with them, I had to move. I had to move. The lady was in a divorce with her husband. She's in a divorce with her husband, and the only place she wanted was the place we were living, and that's who we were renting from. So she took the place in the divorce and then made us move. And so we could, I guess she wanted to experience the same thing, but it wasn't going to happen. The thing of it is about the Sasquatches or the Bigfoots, they know you're good at heart. They know instantly if you're positive and you got good intentions, and somebody that's not like that, they'll never even show themselves to them. That's why so many people out here say the ones like us has had the sightings and had all this stuff happen. That's the ones that get mad at you and call you crazy and stuff like that.
Well, Wayne, when I had my encounter and my friend was with me, we went up to Canadian Rockies to photograph, ghost towns and silver mines and stuff like that. And we never thought about, Bigfoot or bears or nothing. And like I was telling you before we went on the air earlier today, we hiked in about 2.5 miles. And we had to go off an old logging road or an old road where this internment camp was. And this internment camp was put out in the middle of nowhere, back there in the 40s. In case any prisoners want to, escape, they weren't going to go anywhere. And, when my friend said, hey, look at that huge bear over there, and I looked with my telephoto, and that's when I realized it was not a bear. But I can honestly tell you, seeing what I saw, and I only seen a Bigfoot one time in my life. And that's good enough for me because, you know, I used to be an avid camper. I grew up in a family that went camping every summer for a couple weeks every year. I have had 8 children with my marriage. We used to go camping all the time. After that encounter, I have never gone in the woods ever again. But my encounter wasn't one that they gave off orbs. They weren't, whatever it was, wasn't friendly because it chased us. Now, one thing I will say, I did notice when it was chasing us, because we had to run 2.5 miles, and it was scary. In fact, I almost killed my friend when he was getting in the car because there was a Bigfoot 25 feet from us screaming at us at that point. That's how they followed us back to the car. And I stuck the car in gear and drugged my friend. And I mean, it was a good friendship while it lasted. But I can honestly tell you, it was aggressive. And what I noticed about it is I only turned around a couple times during that 2.5 mile run. I had one thing in my mind was get out of there. I noticed it ran on 2 legs and it would drop down to 4, back to 2, back to 4. Now, have you noticed anything like that?
Yeah, I've actually seen two last year running up a hill. Not even, I mean, this was 20 miles from here, but I've seen 2 running up a hill doing the exact same thing. And I knew it was Sasquatch just because I said there ain't no way a bear could do that.
No.
And I mean, you're driving down the road and you see these 2 and then you almost want to stop because you say, well, you see it, and the crazy thing is, when you see that is the coolest thing. Most of the time when I've been out in the woods with them, when I see them moving, I've even captured them on video doing it, but most of the time it's catching them real far back, and most of the time they doing things that, it's basically running. I've seen one run behind a tree. He run around the corner and dived right into the dirt. And it's hard to explain, but I got it on video, so I know it's real. I had one come out of he was sitting in like a big old shadow, purple shadow, and he comes out of that purple shadow. He runs across really fast, and then he sits down, but when he sees me point the camera at him, he goes right back. And somebody was telling me the other day, you got your own Patty video. I said, well, no, I got a real one. I'm not sure about Patty.
Now, also, but you were telling me also, because we only got 25 minutes left, and I want to talk about your movie too, the last part. You told me that you've seen other creatures out there in the woods besides Bigfoot that were kind of scary.
Well, where I used to live, the only thing I've seen possibly some alien craft. I've seen possible alien craft there. I've seen Dogman a few times, but not like I've seen him since I've been going to these trails. But it was late 2017, early 2018. I'm out there at this trail that I'm presently go to now, and I sent you the picture of him. This is not a Dogman. This is something that looks like he came right out of there in Egypt, and it's hard to explain, but I'm almost sure that's Anubis. And what was Anubis doing basically the keeper of the underworld? Why did he appear out there, even if it was just that one time? Where did he come from? And why was he freaking in North Carolina of all places? And it's not just that. There's what I call a Birdman out there, and I've got some really clean pictures of him. He just appeared a few months ago.
What's he look like?
Slanted.
What does the Birdman look like?
Well, he's got a solid white head. He's got a solid white body. You can see his feathers and or fur or whatever. The only reason I didn't believe he was a Bigfoot is because he's got a kind of a beak-like nose. He's got these two eyes that come like on the side of his head, and you can see his pupils. Some of my pictures I've got, you can see his pupils really good. Looks like a bird, but he's so big that to me, I'm thinking maybe this is something else out of ancient Egypt that we've heard of over the, you hear about some of these worlds. I mean, these countries that worship bird-like men. So how do we know this ain't what this is? But this is in present time, you know. But I start thinking, you got Anubis there. I filmed white Bigfoots out here. White Bigfoot, the Yeti. Everybody thinks the Yeti or the abominable snowman is white. The Yeti is not white. He's just a regular Bigfoot. He's just in that area, But when you find an actual white Bigfoot, and that's pretty amazing. I've seen 2 or 3 of them. I actually had some white Bigfoots living in my woods where I used to live, and I got some pretty good pictures. I actually could go out there, and one would be out there and let me talk to him. I mean, just to tell you how selective they are about who they want to, and then we'll talk about the movie. But my daughter could go out there and the Bigfoot would stay there and listen to her and everything. But when I took my wife out there, the Bigfoot left and never came back. Ain't that something?
Could have maybe felt, threatened.
No, it's my wife. My wife is not. I think my daughter has abilities like I do, and I think they can sense that, and also they can sense the desire. And if my wife just walks out there to say, "Hey, I want to see it," and they may not say, "Well, you're not allowed to see us right now," because they ain't. She hadn't been experienced by them, My daughter's even seen one, And here's the strange part: when I would take my daughter with me to the trail, I got more vocalizations. Female screams, like almost like they're being murdered. I got the roars, I got the yells, and I mean, when she would go with me, but since she hadn't been going with me about the last 3 months, I don't get them. I get them, but I don't hardly ever get them anymore. So it just tells me they were responding to her.
Now, how old was your daughter?
She's going to be 12 next month, actually.
Now, how did she? How did she respond?
Uh-huh.
How did she respond to the sounds of the Bigfoot?
Well, the first one happened when we were living at the old place, and this guy came down. He wanted to go. He thought he could go over across the road and he could go find them and meet them and whatever. So he's running around the woods over there, and I'm over there watching him make a fool out of himself. And as he's doing that, my daughter, when I get back in the house, my daughter's in the house by herself. Well, with the dogs, of course, so nobody's gonna bother her. But I come back in the house and she's going ballistic. She said, "While y'all were over there, one of them came out of the woods and stood at the tree stump and was staring at me." And she said, and she described it to a T. And that was her first experience with one of them. But then the first time we go out to one of the first few times we go out to that trail and you hear this scream, it sounds, it's the Sasquatch, because when you hear this scream, it sounds like women being killed. Women being killed. It's their scream, because that's one of the screams that they do. And my daughter heard it, and she said, "There's a killer in them woods. Somebody's being murdered." And I said, "No, baby, that's those Bigfoot."
Now, have you ever had like encounters where the Bigfoot would throw rocks against your house or anything when you lived at the other location?
I had them in the beginning before I had any trust with them. They would run around my house and scream. They would stop. They'd run around the house, scream, and then stop. But they would only do it when the dogs would jump off the bed. When the dogs jump off the bed, run at them, they would stop. They would scream, then the dogs would run, and then they stop. When I got the dogs back on the bed, then they'd do it again. And it was just basically annoying the crap out of me because I couldn't sleep, because my dogs kept, getting stirred up from them. And again, I told you about this one too, but again with the first time out there taking pictures of them and being out there and seeing a dog man, which to me at that point looked like a devil, and seeing him and then walking back, and then all of a sudden a lightning bolt comes out of those woods and hits that fence over there, and I actually captured that on a picture. And to me, that was the most craziest thing. Other than, I did have one time, and to me, you'd think anybody would pee in their pants if they heard this. I'm out there at the woods with my camcorder, and I hear something going, boom, boom, and you can hear him stomping in the ground. He's boom, boom, and you hear him the whole time he's going, and he's getting closer, and you hear him stomping and huffing and huffing.